So how does PC compare to Xbox Series X? Well, one of the first differences on PC is the ability to have much faster loading. Loading the same save on Xbox Series X versus a Core i9-12900K and a PCIe Gen 4 NVMe shows that the game loads in less than a third of the time on that PC. So if your kit is up to snuff like this one is, you can skip nearly all of that long waiting that is seen in the Xbox Series X version of the game, leading to a much snappier experience. But how does the game compare graphically? This is a great question here, as the game is very heavy on the GPU. If I load the game up on a RTX 2070 Super, a similar GPU class of hardware to that found in the Xbox Series X, but I would say a bit slower, of course. If I play at the ultra settings at 4K with FSR2 with a similar internal resolution to the Xbox Series X, we can see that that is completely off the table. It is mainly sub 30 FPS in the mid 20s. So obviously Xbox Series X is not going to be running ultra settings here. And getting to the bottom of what settings it is possibly using is a great way to understand how to optimize the PC version. So let us start with grass quality. Here the Xbox Series X does not use ultra or high, but rather it uses medium. That is visible by looking at the amount of grass instances being drawn at a distance here. This is a smart move for optimization, as reducing grass quality, for example on an RTX 2070 Super at 1440p FSR2 balance mode, which is 59% axis scale, that increases performance by 15%, where grass is primarily in view and nothing else. And honestly, it's pretty hard to tell medium from ultra at a normal view distance when not looking from above. Volumetric lighting is like foliage, and on Xbox Series X, the level being used is closest to PC's medium. And we can see that by the shape, size, and frequency of artifacting in this shot here. The flicker and pixelization line up rather perfectly with PC's medium setting. Unsurprisingly, this is a smart optimization. An RTX 2070 Super sees a 7% performance uplift by dropping to medium here in this scene, which appears to be an inflection point for performance, and high barely is different than ultra. So definitely use that as an optimized setting. Another medium setting on Xbox Series X is reflections, which is visible in the quality and detail visible in the game's cube maps when you smash your face right up into them. On PC, I would also recommend the medium setting for mid-range GPUs, as it can offer an 8% performance benefit with little visual difference at most camera ranges from the cube maps, like you can see in this shot here. Forget not, the reflections in this game are generated in real time, so they are expensive to draw. Other settings on Xbox Series X are less clean cut to the PC presets. Contact shadows, for example, controls screen space shadows, and here the shape and coverage is most similar to PC's medium, but we can see it artifacting and flickering more than the PC version, even at a similar internal resolution. So somehow it is worse than PC medium. On PC, I would recommend medium here, as it offers a little bit of performance with minimal visual differences. Shadows do not also line up with PC perfectly. Based on the resolution of a distant cascade, the Xbox Series X looks like the ultra setting. Notice how the cascade stays the same resolution here on the building on Xbox instead of fading to a lower quality like we can see on high, medium, or low. But close range shadows, as we see here, shows that Xbox Series X is using a custom shadow setting, as closer shadow cascades have the same resolution actually as low shadows on PC. With this custom setting in mind, I actually recommend the medium setting on PC, as it ups performance massively by around 40% here in this shot on the 2070 Super. And it also doesn't look too bad next to ultra and looks nearly the same as high. High, though, would also not be a bad choice for performance reasons. Another setting not lining up with PC is VRS, or variable rate shading. It is indeed on Xbox Series X, as we can see here, where this texture with VRS on, as we see in the middle, shows smudges in some of the finer distinctions in that texture detail that I'm highlighting here. But it's honestly a rather fine-grained difference. It's hard to notice at all on PC. Xbox Series X, though, as we can see here, actually has more degradation than PC's VRS. There are blocks of variable rate shading here that do not appear on PC on an NVIDIA graphics card. So VRS appears to be slightly more aggressive on Series X. Whether you should turn it on PC is an interesting question. At 1440p FSR2 balanced, I just saw a 0.4% performance increase. When using Xbox Series X like 4K output with FSR2 in quality mode, that increased to a 0.7% performance increase with VRS on. I say leave on VRS for a minor performance boost with a near invisible quality loss. GTAO is up next, and when going from ultra to low on PC, turning that setting down, we can see it lightens up the ambient occlusion in the corners, making its coverage more subtle. On Xbox Series X, GTAO is even lighter than PC's low, with less coverage even at the same internal resolution. So I would say it appears to be lower than low. Here I recommend the medium setting on PC as it offers a near 3% performance improvement, but unlike low, it will not flicker as much in movement. And this is especially true if you're using FSR2, which will flicker in its own right anyway with that low GTAO setting. Particle quality affects the resolution of lighting on particles, and here medium and high look practically the same to my eye. Low, though, noticeably degrades the resolution of shadows drawn across billboard particles, making them alias with bigger, blurrier blocks. XSX here looks to be either medium or high, which look the same, and for optimized settings, medium and high perform the same. And I actually do recommend medium or high for optimized settings here, as I find low a bit too degraded. Now motion blur. Based upon the amount of artifacting and aliasing seen when motion blur is paused, it appears to be the low setting on Xbox Series X, which honestly is not easy to see in motion, even at 30 FPS. So if you want to use motion blur, I would say low is an optimized setting. The last two settings I was less certain of on Xbox Series X. Indirect lighting is most likely not the low setting, as the low setting can sometimes show obvious lower resolution aspects not seen in the other settings, like we can see on this grading here. I would also say Xbox Series X does not use the ultra setting, as that changes the appearance of distant specular objects at times, like we can see on the far right here, making this window at a distance brighter than all the other settings and Xbox Series X. So Xbox Series X is maybe medium or high, and I cannot really tell them apart. For optimized settings, I measured indirect lighting running the exact same between medium and ultra. It only ran slightly better on low. For me, I think you can really use any setting here, and you can even elect to use ultra. The crowd setting is also another mystery setting to me. All of the settings on PC and Xbox Series X show a very, very similar amount of NPCs on screen, and believe me, I counted them. And this was done after loading up the game save after a game restart on all platforms. So I'm not exactly sure where the difference is here in visuals for this setting. For optimized settings in this one, I found that the low setting technically offered a 3% performance increase over the course of an entire run through Aquila in the NPC filled areas there. And this was while being CPU limited on a Ryzen 5 3600. So the setting can maybe technically help performance, assuming that is what I actually measured there, but I'm not fully convinced of it. Low is technically the optimized setting here for CPU limited configurations, but honestly you wouldn't be wrong if you went with high either. And there you have it. Optimized settings look like this, very close to what Xbox Series X is doing, as Xbox Series X is taking a good approach here. Most settings it adjusts do not dramatically negatively affect image quality while offering tangible performance benefits. Since this game doesn't have ray tracing, the game's highest settings definitely have issues with diminishing returns for the performance you pay for them. Altogether, while running through a scene like this one here, using optimized settings on the RTX 2070 Super at 1440p and FSR2 balance mode with 59% internal resolution saw a 45% performance improvement on average while moving, which was really nice to see. But I would say it is a bit flickery and blurry with FSR2. With DLSS injected via a mod, the game looks a good deal better, I would say, in that same area and runs 3% better than FSR2. The last bit to cover for optimized settings here is dynamic resolution scaling, or DRS, as it's available in the options menu at the top, but unfortunately I have to report it is extremely limited for use. It does not work with the in-game VSync off, with any external frame rate limiters or driver VSync. It only works when your frame rate dips below 30, so you can't use it to target 60 or 120 FPS or anything. When below 30, it will dynamically adjust the resolution quite well to maintain the frame rate with VSync on. It functions exactly like it does on Xbox Series X then in that manner. But as you can see in the bottom right, with the frame time graph, having it on is not frame pacing the game correctly. The line is not smooth. That is because this game does not have a frame rate limiter in the menu that works. So this feature is not useful unless you are targeting 30 FPS with the in-game VSync on and do not mind improper frame pacing. A good version of this dynamic res in the menu would allow you to customize the target frame rate and have a good frame rate lock available separately.